One of the overachievers in the ACC, Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, breaking down the game you love. Best discussion, debate, and analysis. That's our mission statement and goal each and every day. All right. We are looking at the revised schedules in the ACC with, of course, 10 conference games and one non-conference game. That is typically a very light touch since the big non-conference contests like North Carolina, UCF, North Carolina, Auburn, Michigan State, and Miami have been taken off the board and replaced by what should be gimme wins for the ACC teams. But 10 conference games, no divisions, Notre Dame included. Let's look at Boston College, a team that has consistently under Steve Adazio and now with Jeff Hafley taking over has won 7 games per season just about every year going back to 2013-14 in that range, despite recruiting classes in the 60s and 70s. What will BC produce here in 2020? Well, they dive right into ACC play at Duke in week 1. Then they've got Texas State. And before we look at these 94 and 95 percentage totals in terms of win probability for BC, let's consider Texas State played extremely well against SMU in their opener on Saturday and held firm. Took that game down to the last couple minutes of play. So Texas State, not necessarily a give-me for Boston College, although it looks as such in the power index and according to my numbers, which were determined before I looked at the power index. I'm not trying to predict the power index. I'm putting down my number of the win possibility. Against Duke, it's pretty much a 50-50 toss-up. The power index likes BC on the road. I slightly favor Duke at 54-46%. Then a tough stretch here with North Carolina, Pitt, and Virginia Tech on the road. The FPI likes BC against Pitt, 57-43%. Otherwise, they're a substantial underdog against North Carolina and Virginia Tech. I'm in the same range, although I'm giving the Eagles a bit of a better chance, specifically against the Hokies on the road. Then they've got Georgia Tech at home. 50-50 proposition, basically, for the power index. I like BC at home against Georgia Tech, 68-32. Clemson's basically a loss. Once we get to the Clemson board, you will see a board like nobody else in the country, including Alabama and Ohio State, if they would play. Because not only Clemson's considered a juggernaut, of course, but also because of the weak ACC. You're going to see percentages for Clemson in the 90s against decent teams, or what have been decent teams in the past. 98% certainty that Clemson wins at home against BCM at 96%. We've got a disparity here in BC going to Syracuse. The FPI really likes BC, 64-36%. I slightly favor Syracuse, but basically call it a 50-50 toss-up. And then little chance of defeating Notre Dame or Louisville, although I give BC a better shot there at 38%. And then the Eagles wrap up the season at Virginia. Surprisingly, as the defending Coastal Division champion, the FPI favors BC on the road. I favor Virginia at 59-41%. So, these are the percentages I'm giving in 100 games played. I don't believe they're going to get in 100 games this season. I think they just hit the field once. So there's a possibility of an upset, of course, 22% of the time. All right, so what we've got here is I've got 3 wins for BC. They beat Texas State, although we are less sure about that today than we would have been yesterday. They win the game at home against Georgia Tech, and then I've got an upset against Louisville at home late in November. Could be the last week of November. Looks like the target date there. 11 games for BC. They win 3 in Jeff Hafley's debut in Boston. Leave your comments below, your record projections. Of course, subscribe to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, because we talk college football every day. And when you subscribe, hit the bell for the notifications. That way you know when we're going live. Right here at the voice of college football.